Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Seth Meyers, psychologist. I want to take a moment today and talk to you about something that comes up in dating. And I want to share some thoughts that I think might be helpful for you as you encounter new people when you're out there dating. Just a quick note that if you find this video helpful, please like this video so that it gives me a little information about what you find helpful. So, we're talking about dating, and one of the things I want to address is something specific that a person may do when they tell you that all their exes are quote unquote crazy. They may say, "Oh, my ex was crazy," and actually, all my exes have been crazy. And they talk about their exes in a really negative, derogatory way. One of the things that's important is to realize that when someone calls their ex crazy, they talk about the ex in a way as if the ex is the one who was all wrong. A lot of times, it's really all or nothing. A lot of times in relationships, it's really not the case that there is one good one and one bad one. Usually, in most relationships, there is some level of responsibility for every member of the couple. Now, the one difference, of course, comes with situations involving abuse. If there was really cruel behavior or any abuse of any kind, that is one issue. And that behavior is absolutely wrong. And that is really a reason to talk about your ex in a negative way. That is really understandable. Crazy isn't a clinical word, and it's often really not a fair word. It doesn't really actually say that much. It doesn't really even explain what the person did that was wrong, what the person did that was unfair. But one of the things that you may find if you come across people in the dating world and they talk about their ex or their exes as crazy, it's important to really understand better what those relationships were like. The person that you started dating, the person that you met, what were they like in the relationship? Were they really good and kind and consistent and fair? Or did maybe they contribute in some ways to an unhealthy dynamic in the relationship? So it's really important for you when you hear someone say, "Oh, my exes were crazy." It's really important for you to ask yourself a few follow up questions. You want to think to yourself, I wonder if I should find out a little bit more. Is this maybe not a good reflection of the person that I have just met? Ask them some questions. Say, can you tell me a little bit more about what that person did? And it's fair for you to ask questions like, well, how did you respond to that? How did you react to the situation? It's really important for us to understand that, relationships involve a level of responsibility, and there is also a level of choice. In these romantic relationships, people voluntarily choose who they spend time with. So sometimes it can be a reflection on the choices that we make. If we choose a partner that really isn't good for us, that is really negative and really ends up making us feel really badly, the problem is that we have to look at the fact that that was a person that we chose, we made that decision to start a relationship with. Now, the reality is that sometimes a person can really hide who they are when they start dating. So, no one is going to know in the very beginning about all the parts of a person's personality. When you meet someone, here is an example of what you would hope that they may say about a past relationship. They may say something like, "I'm not with that person anymore, and the relationship really wasn't good for me in many different ways." And I will spare you the details of why exactly that was. But, it's important that you know that I'm not in that relationship anymore and that I learned lessons from that relationship and really am probably more careful now who I choose to be with as a result of that. If you are on a date and someone tells you that, you are going to think that's probably pretty fair and reasonable. That's good what they shared with me. It sounds like there is some self-awareness there. This person has thought, has reflected on the relationship. also this person isn't blaming. This person is trying to move forward and try to stay as positive as possible. In the case that maybe anyone was in a relationship with someone that was really a negative person for them to be in a relationship with, that individual doesn't need to go telling all their new dates, anyone new, about just how awful that person was. That is the past. It's okay to talk about it briefly and say, that relationship wasn't good for me. I didn't appreciate the way that individual treated me. That's okay. But you don't need to necessarily go into such details and label someone with really severe words like crazy or other words like that. So the most important takeaway, if you meet someone or start dating someone and they talk to you about how their ex or all their exes were crazy, it really is a good time for you to pause and think about what questions you want to ask them, and ask them some questions so you can understand a little bit better. When you ask questions, you want to make sure not to ask the questions too quickly or too intensely. You don't want to ask them too emotionally, because that could make the other person feel defensive, like they are under a microscope. But ask a few questions gently, and then just be mindful of the fact that if you are starting to date someone who had a really intense negative relationship in the past, or maybe a few of them, that means that this individual doesn't have a lot of experience having good, peaceful relationships. Now, hopefully, that's what you want, a good and peaceful relationship. So you may need to be patient and go slowly in this new relationship. Keep your eye on behaviors that are concerning for you and talk about them with someone you're dating. I hope this video has been helpful, and if it has, please like the video again so that I have a sense of what you find helpful.